This is the Paperclipping Roundtable, the scrapbooking audio show that's designed to inspire, educate, and entertain you.
You're listening to episode 220, recorded September 2nd, 2014, Lemonade and Massages.
The Paperclipping Roundtable is brought to you by BigPictureClasses.com. Get 10% off any class with a coupon code you'll find at paperclipping.com/bigpicture.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Paperclipping Roundtable. I'm your host, Noelle Hyman from paperclipping.com, where we have scrapbooking video tutorials in addition to this show. We have our host, I'm the host. We have our producer, Izzy from izzyvideo.com.
No, hey. I'm the host.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, Izzy.
Maybe because I used to say we have our co-host.
Yes.
Nancy Nally.
Mm-hmm.
You're my co-host sort of now.
Thank you. I do my best.
Yeah, but you're my husband also.
I didn't even say it. You said it first.
Yep. And that's something the audience should know, just in case weird things are said. That
if it's somebody's first time ever listening to the show right now, they're already wondering, what the heck am I listening to?
All right, let's introduce our guests today. We have a couple brand new guests on for the first time. One of them is Kelly Sill. Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm good. Izzy, are you good?
I'm good.
All right.
Awesome.
Kelly has a website called September Blue. Is that right?
It's septemberblue.net.
.net. Okay. And you design digital products that you sell from your shop, which is Blueprints, and you can find that over at septemberblue.net, right?
Correct. Yes.
How long have you been designing digital products?
Off and on for the past 7 years, and so now, I go in spurts with it when, I design when I feel inspired.
Okay. So you don't have like a regular release date that you always follow, but you...
Right. Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
I know you even, once your kids started high school, you even went back to school and got a graphic design degree.
Well, actually, I went back to school when my kids were responsible enough to be home alone from when they were coming back, from high school or middle school. So,
okay. Even
earlier. So when my oldest started high school and my youngest started middle school, that's when I went back to school.
That's awesome.
Full time for 3 years straight. And
good for you.
It was good. It was good. Yeah.
And I know you've even done some teaching, like you did a class at scrapboneers.com called Empty Nest Scrapbooking. That's actually how I found you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've been an instructor there for a year now, and I have a couple different classes going on. So Empty Nest Scrapbooking was my first one, and it's been really good because I know there are a lot of women who are just like me, started scrapbooking 20 some years ago, and now their kids are moving out. And so they're thinking, what do I have to scrapbook now?
Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about today, too, in a little bit. Yeah. All right. Let's introduce another brand new first-time guest. We have, please tell me if I say your last name wrong. It's Marcia Fortunato.
Correct.
Yay.
Exactly right.
Very good. And Marcia, you're on the design team for Get It Scrapped with Debbie Hodge.
Yes.
And I think you just started that in May, didn't you?
No, this is my second year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I was on it last year.
All right. She's fun to work with, isn't she?
She is wonderful to work with, yeah.
Yeah, we love Debbie.
Really,
we love Debbie Hodge.
Yes, definitely.
All right, and then you're, let's see, so we'll have links to everybody's blogs. Yours is mfortunato.blogspot.com. Is there anything else that I'm missing that you're doing currently in the scrapbook community?
Nope, that's it.
All right, so you can find Marcia at Get It Scrapped and over on her blog then.
Yeah, and Instagram. I'm on Instagram.
You're on Instagram. Do you link to that from your blog?
I don't believe I do yet.
Yeah,
my blog is kind of not very active.
Oh, okay.
I need to get it going, but it's one of those things.
Yeah. Well, you're friends with Sue, who's our third guest, Sue Althouse. Yes. Hello, Sue.
Hello.
How are you? I'm
great. Happy to be here.
That is good. I'm glad to hear that. You're also on the creative team for Get It Scrapped and do a lot with Debbie Hodge.
Yes.
Sue Althouse is on the creative team for Right Click Scrapbook, and you're a teacher at creativepassions.com?
That's correct.
Are you teaching anything currently?
Not currently. I'm working on it.
Putting the next class together?
Putting the next class together, but I have 2 that are up and available, I think self-paced.
Okay. Are you allowed to share what your new one will be?
I probably better wait because it could change.
Oh, okay. I know how that goes. I've done that myself. All right. So since you're all, like, we've had Sue on once before and the other guests are brand new. So it might be interesting trying to, for our audience to get to know these voices. So let me maybe one more time, Marcia, say, hey, it's Marcia.
Hey, it's Marcia.
Okay. And then Kelly, maybe you could say something.
Hi, it's Kelly.
And then Sue.
This is Sue.
I've never done that before. It's kind of different. But
Okay, so I want to emphasize something here.
Yeah.
Do we have 3 people from Ohio?
What?
Do we
Are
just
they
happen
all?
to have? Who's from Ohio?
This is Kelly. Originally, I was from Ohio. I haven't lived there in 26 years.
Okay, and then Marcia, where are you located? Are you in Ohio?
I'm just the opposite. I'm originally from northern Wisconsin, and I've lived in Ohio for about 30 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And actually now we also have just bought a house in Minnesota because that's where my boys have settled. And so I'm kind of back and forth, particularly this summer, back and forth between Minnesota and Ohio. So I'm currently in Minnesota at this very second.
Wow.
And then Sue, you're from Ohio, left and just moved back, right?
Yes, I'm
That's
from
so weird.
Ohio originally. I've been gone for 25 years, except for my heart, which I left in Ohio. And we just returned back, and we are closer to family. Also, as Marcia's case, just getting back closer to our family, and thrilled to be back.
So do you guys ever get together in Ohio, you, Sue and Marcia?
We never have. I've only been back like 4 months, and I'm more in the Columbus area, in the Cleveland area. But that should definitely be on our list.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the problem is right about the time that Sue got there, then that's when I started to leave quite a bit.
Yeah.
So over the summer, I was probably in Minnesota almost, I think, a little bit more than Ohio. So. But yeah, we'll make it a point to get together soon.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that, Izzy. That's funny that you picked up on
Yeah,
that.
my brain is wired for pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You know?
that's why you're very intelligent.
No.
But sometimes get it wrong.
That's why
because
I'm pretty good at identifying some patterns.
that usually equates to good intelligence, I think. Do you want to read the mail?
Yes. And here we go. This first one is from Joanna, who says, I think I read somewhere that you can get distortion from using too wide of a lens. Noelle, do you want to give us some background?
Yes.
Why are we reading this mail?
Well, we were talking about last week. This is in response to last week's when we talked about photographing your layouts, because most of us don't get to hang out with other scrapbookers, so we're seeing everybody's layouts online as a photo image. There was some comment that everybody had an SLR. And so some people with point and shoots came in, and she's so this is all about using a point and shoot camera.
It just occurred to me that we should, at the beginning of every episode, have, I'm not going to do the work to do this, by the way, but just to give you a heads up, we should have a previously on the Paperclipping Roundtable. We should have that, like, you know, with some dramatic
cool
music
voices.
and bring some voices.
From last week's recording.
Yeah. People,
That's funny.
yeah, with all the dramatic parts, you know, the parts where people fight and stuff like that.
You do have a love for audio, so that might be fun for you.
Yeah.
Not that you have time.
Yeah, exactly. Previously on the Paperclipping Roundtable. I like it. That's going to be my movie voice, too. So,
You could put little sound bites.
you know, I'm going to read the whole mail like this.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Joanna
The sound
says,
bites.
I think I read somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. Oh, she's hating me right now. Oh, I'm so sorry, Joanna. She had this really great comment, and I'm going to read it with the kind of respect it deserves. So, here we go. Joanna says, I think I read somewhere that you can get distortion from using too wide of a lens. Or it might have been that there's a sweet spot of focal length on zoom lenses, and point-and-shoot cameras are set to shoot with a wide focal length. I read that to get the best photo of a 12x12 layout, you should shoot with the camera zoomed a little bit, so it's closer to the 50mm normal view. It's tricky with a point-and-shoot, but if you just zoom a bit, you'll still get the full spread in, but the edges will be closer to straight and square.
What does she mean by zoom? Is that zoom in or out?
Telephoto, like zoom in, like you zoom in towards
Okay.
something to
Can
magnify
you zoom
it.
a point and shoot?
Yes, a lot of point and shoots will zoom.
Okay.
Absolutely. The one that I have, Noelle, doesn't zoom. It's got a fixed focal length on the lens, but
Does that mean it's a 50?
No, it's
No,
not. It's a
it's
24 millimeter, I think, but it's just fixed
Okay.
there, so it's kind of wide angle-ish.
So if you have the ability to zoom a little, you'll want to, if you have a point and shoot, is what you're saying, to kind of mimic
Yeah,
that
because
50
usually
millimeter?
with a point and shoot, if you pull back, if you zoom out instead of in, if you zoom out all the way,
You're gonna
then
get
you end
the-
up with some distortion around the edges because it's wide angle, and
makes
wide
it-
angle
yeah.
lenses have distortion around the edges a lot. So
And not the pretty blurry kind. It's everything's being
distortion
stretched
is
in kind
different.
in a rounded sort of way.
yeah, distortion is the shifting of the image, right? So it distorts it. But
Okay.
what you're thinking of, I think, is depth of field, the pretty blurry.
That's what I was saying. It's not.
It's not, it's
Right.
not depth of field. The shallow depth of field. Okay, so I'm continuing with her mail here. It says, if you're shooting with an iPhone, and I'll substitute, or any smartphone camera, you just lower your standards. There's not much you can do about the horrible wide angle. Zooming is just cropping the digital image on a camera phone, so that won't help. Most people could benefit from more light in all of their photos. A lot of people don't know how much smarter their eyes are than their cameras, and the bright screens on cameras, phones, and laptops fool us. A bright photo on my screen is a dull photo printed. My Mac screen makes everything look beautiful, but it doesn't reflect printed reality. I need to overexpose things a little, or maybe I need to move to Lena's place. She has all the best equatorial light.
Yes. Lena had beautiful lighted photos.
And I want to add that overexposing a little bit. Every camera is different, but my experience with Canon cameras is that overexposing by a third of an f-stop is a really good idea. I pretty much, I have it always locked to overexpose by a third of an f-stop on my Canon camera.
Yeah, I don't keep mine locked there, but I just always put it there. Because for that same reason. And I find I need to do it even a little bit more with layouts than with faces. But yeah. And the more you're indoors, the worse it is too. I mean, the indoor photos are worse than outdoor ones. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
The other thing that when I was listening to that earlier, and the other thing I thought about too is each screen is calibrated differently. And so sometimes like what you'll see on your screen may not be what I see on my screen.
Exactly.
And so if you really want to get true colors and that kind of thing, you have to calibrate your screen. And
yeah. On my last computer, I never calibrated it, but I did keep the lighting down a bit. Even though it's so beautiful when it's bright, I wanted to keep it down for the sake of the photos. But so I'd see a little more close. Would show a little closer to the printed. But it's still, the prints are never like how they look on a Mac computer, or probably any PC. But Macs are gorgeous. All right, so the other one is another response to the same episode.
Okay, she says, this is Megan Anderson, who says, the thing that most helps me to get accurate photos of layouts is using a custom white balance. When shooting a manual mode with a DSLR, you have the option of leaving the camera to detect what sort of light you're shooting in with an auto setting, or choosing a specific setting for the type of light, sunshine, cloudy, shade, etc. I found that these settings aren't very accurate, and using the custom setting gives me the best results for accurate colors. For the custom settings, you take a photo of white paper in the area you're photographing, set the lighting to quote custom, and select the white paper photo you took as the custom white balance. The camera then bases the following photos upon the sample white photo. I found that doing this gives me truer colors, better exposure, and helps me to spend much less time post-processing. This process is a little difficult to explain, so for more on how to use custom white balances, check out this article, and then she has a link. And this is in the comments section of the last episode, right?
Yeah, people can go find that link if they want to really learn how to do that. And in fact, somebody else who names herself ARC in the comments, she also has some comments about using a point and shoot. And so that's what I love about the comment section, is people can go in and add in stuff that we weren't able to cover in the show. So anyone who has a point and shoot and felt a little lost, she actually shares a lot of almost the exact same stuff that we do, but maybe from the point of view of a point and shoot. So
you want to hear this great comment somebody left on iTunes in the directory, Noelle?
Sure.
This is hard. Since I have control of the show right now anyway, I might as well just go ahead and slip this in there. This is from L. Gilvar, I think. Fun, she says, fun and inspiring, 5 stars. I love listening to the show. When I first heard there were podcasts about scrapbooking, I was confused about how such a visual subject would translate but it is great. I think it is like when my husband listens to sports talk radio. So interesting to listen to all the people on the show and to get to know the host. Topics are fun and inspiring. Keep up the great work. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
So, you know, we put out a call for people to leave customer reviews like this, and a whole bunch of folks came to the rescue. They came riding in on white horses, and you know, a few people actually said, hey, please don't cut out all the laughter. And I just want to point out that we weren't actually intending to ever actually cut the laughter. That was just one of the comments somebody had said is, you know, I'd give the show 5 stars if they would take the time to cut out all the extra laughter, you know. And we're like, we'll go ahead and forego that extra star you didn't give us.
So somebody said, wouldn't that be, how awkward would that be, Izzy, with all the jokes you make? Like, you make a joke and then there's silence and we just go on and
You know what? That would actually reflect my actual life. That would reflect real life for me. I do that all day long where I crack jokes and then there's total silence. I'm used to that.
That's funny. Sue, what did you say, Sue?
I said that would be fun. Just nothing.
Oh my gosh, would that be awkward or what? That's so funny. All right, so I'm going to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Big Picture Classes, and share a little bit about what's going on there. Number one is their redesigned website is totally new and different. So if you haven't checked it out, like I knew that they had redesigned the website and it was getting ready to you know, launch, and I thought it would be a little bit of a change, but this is a big change, and the format of it is totally different and it's beautiful, and I think it's easier to like when you click on one of the workshops that's coming up, I think it's easier to see everything that you want to see and learn about the workshop. So it's awesome. So check it out, number one. And number two, when you go through, hopefully using our link, which Izzy will explain in just a minute, and you get to the main page, if you click on Learn, that is where you will see all of the workshops and the self-paced classes and the projects. And so now they're kind of even categorized a little differently, I think, because there's some, at least I never noticed the ones before that said project. Anyway, so that's where you can see everything that's happening. There's all kinds of classes happening at Big Picture. And one of them that is new, that's new on the list that's coming up, is called Capture Life by Rebecca Cooper. And it's how to create magical photos of everyday moments. And this is a 12-week guided workshop. So it's about 3 months. And it's really cool because you're going to focus on something different every month. In October, you'll learn to capture the everyday. In November, you'll focus on capturing beauty. And then in December, you'll capture the holidays. So this is a great time. This is when people are taking the most photos out of the entire year, from Halloween on through the holidays. So it's a great time to take a photography class. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything that I want to say about this class. You can check it out to get more details. Izzy, how should they do that if they want to come see the new website, see what the classes are, and check out this one in particular?
Whatever you do, don't go straight to that website. Don't do it. Don't go straight to the site. Instead, what you do is you start at our site, because we have an affiliate link there. Click on that link. That'll take you over there, and then you can shop to your heart's content. In fact, it won't cost you any more. In fact, it'll do 2 things for you. Number one is it will get you access to those classes, and there's also a coupon code there that you can use to get 10% off your total purchase.
On our website.
Yes, on our website. You go to paperclipping.com/big picture, use the affiliate link, and use the coupon code. But here's the other thing it's going to do for you. It's going to keep this show that you're listening to right now going. So keep this show going. Use that affiliate link. And once again, that's paperclipping.com/big picture. That's how you get to their website.
Thank you. All right.
It would be great if we could work that out somehow through Google or something.
So that if they've listened to our show,
if Big Picture can like change their URL to our paperclipping.com/big picture, that'd be great.
I don't think that would work, though.
No, it wouldn't be great for them. I'm not saying it'd be great for them.
Or any of the other people who use their affiliate as their source of income.
Correct. So thanks to everybody who uses that link. I mean, there's a lot of people that go out of their way to use that link, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much for that.
All right.
Before we go to the next topic, Noelle, we need to announce that a week from now, the show is going to be recorded later. It's going to be recorded later because next week, a week from today, is the Apple event.
We're actually recording it earlier on Monday, which is a first ever for the roundtable.
What?
Recording on Monday.
We're getting ahead of the game?
We are. That means, so apologies to our brand new guests who when we have brand new guests on, you guys, there's like added pressure on me to get the details out earlier in the morning because you're like, where are the details? Like, what's going to happen? And yesterday was a holiday, so in my mind it was Sunday, and it was evening time. Like, we're getting down to watch our evening show before I realized, I think that's what time it was. Oh my gosh, I never sent out the details to Izzy, so Izzy could send them out to our brand new guest. So thanks, you guys. Like, you guys waited patiently. You got the details very late.
You're troopers. You got the details late, and you're here anyway, and that's awesome.
So that might happen again next week.
And I'm not saying we did it on purpose.
No.
I'm not saying that it's an experiment to see how you react
was not.
in this circumstance. I'm not directly saying that.
All right, so let's actually get to the meat of today's program. We're going to talk about being a scrapbooker and an empty nester, and so I think this will apply in some ways to our scrapbookers who don't have children, at least some parts of it, because it will be talking about scrapbooking that doesn't have to do with our children, but it'll also, for those whose children are still at home, this is what you have to look forward to in the future, right, ladies? Is it kind of a bittersweet mixed bag?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say it's 100% sweet. You're not going to say it?
No.
It's been good. I think it, I get to focus on other things.
Yeah.
Scrapbook on other things. And, I think so much of this, lifestyle is just of our kids that, being in an empty nest now, I don't know, it just makes you look forward to other things. And yes, you love your kids and you miss them when they're not around, but, it's also another time to celebrate, you and your spouse and do other things.
So you're enjoying your new time.
I am. I really am.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, and that's not to say that I don't incorporate my kids in my albums. I still do, but it's just in a different way. They're just not the center of attention anymore.
Did you have to tell yourself to think in that way and focus on the positive aspects of it, or was it pretty natural for you to just enjoy this new phase in your life?
I think it more or less came naturally because when the last one, well, I don't want to say he's like completely out of the nest. He's still in college, and but he doesn't live here. But when he left, right after his senior year, my husband and I we moved overseas, so we had this other. We had our mind elsewhere,
Yeah.
And so I think that made it a lot easier. And during our transition going overseas, I knew I was going to have all of these other things to document in my books. And so it was kind of exciting.
You know what, Kelly, when I was preparing to do this episode, I started thinking about, what am I going to do when my last one goes out, and I thought we need to plan a trip like to Europe or travel right away. And then I thought, well, maybe I need to have a few crying days first, so I'm not crying on the trip. I don't know. Like, maybe you guys can recommend what is best. Do you distract yourself right away with something fun, or do you give yourself a couple sad days to mourn first?
This is taking a direction I wasn't expecting it to.
No, we're not really talking about scrapbooking yet. We will. Did we lose our hello?
I'm back.
You're back. Wait, now who is this? Who's back?
Sue.
Sue. Hi, Sue. So did we lose you for a second?
I think so.
Did we lose everybody else?
Yeah, I was lost for. Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Marcia, you were lost for a minute?
Yeah.
All right. That's weird. Kelly, do we have you? No. So this must be on our end, Izzy.
We have Kelly now.
We have Kelly now.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
That was weird.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I might
we
edit
lost all
this
three
out,
of
but
you.
it depends on how entertaining it is to listen to when I go back and listen to it later.
It's just kind of blank on my end, so that wasn't super entertaining.
Yeah, no,
It was very unentertaining.
Was the
now
last
it sounds very strange.
was the
it
last
sounds strange right now.
Okay, no, it's okay now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh. This is the first time that's happened where we dropped everybody and then you came back. What were you going to say, Izzy?
If it sounds different on your end than it sounds on our end, it's only because I've been drinking all morning.
Okay.
So that's the reason why it sounds so different to us over here. To me.
That's good to know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's start by asking how. Maybe I'll start with you, Marcia. How is your scrapbooking different now than it was when you had kids at home?
I think for me, it has. When I was thinking about that question, I think one of the things is it's gone from getting it done. Like I think I do more thoughtful scrapbooking, and it's less about I do the everyday, but it's in a different way. And I think that I work more at designing a page that I really like and less just trying to get it done really quickly. And the subjects that I scrapbook are also quite different. I do probably a lot more about me. And even some of that has involved, I have 4 sons, and so they left every 2 years. And the youngest one left 2 years ago. He graduated from high school 2 years ago, and they were homeschooled. So they were home all the time. So I went from having somebody there all the time to having nobody there. And so it was abrupt, but I think when you were talking about, worrying about, oh, what am I going to do when they leave? I think the anticipation was almost worse than the reality.
Really?
Yeah. And I think I also kind of prepared myself that last year. I did a lot of reminiscing. So a lot of my scrapbook pages are, looking back, and plus I was doing a scrapbook for him that, about his kind of growing up years. And so I was just looking back at a lot of pictures and did a lot of reminiscing. And, but once he was gone, then I think I did kind of for the first year or so, I did a lot more about me. And some of it was some of the other outside activity, like scrapbooking activities that I was doing and some classes that I was in and that kind of thing. But I kind of focused a little more on me for a little bit and my childhood and my growing up. And but I think everything that I do pretty much is from my point of view, which I think is true of everybody to some extent. But so even when I scrapbook my kids now, it's pretty much only things that I'm also involved with. Okay. So it's times that we spend together. So it's, they show up still quite a bit in my scrapbooks, but it's kind of like my view of that as opposed to really what happened. So I do, it's I do a lot of looking back and looking forward, and I don't know. I guess
I like the idea of taking before they leave, taking that time of reminiscing through scrapbooking. I know I find myself doing that a little bit now that my first he's starting his junior year, and I find myself wanting to do that a bit naturally. But it's interesting to me that it sounds like scrapbooking with kids, there's a little bit more pressure to try to. There's so much going on. You have that feeling of trying to get it done in some ways, whereas now it sounds like it's just more relaxing than it used to be.
Yes, definitely. Well, I know too, it's different. I started scrapbooking only a couple of years before my oldest graduated. So I hadn't done a lot of their childhood, pages and stuff. But when he left, that was definitely the most traumatic, was when the oldest one left, and our whole family was kind of traumatized by that whole, because my boys were so close. And so and he was kind of he was the leader of the gang, and to have him gone was just a huge hole for everybody. And I will say I have never scrapbooked that. Like his leaving, I couldn't do it at the time. I couldn't do anything really about him for a while because it was just too raw. I knew there would be tears all over the page. So I'm probably at a point now where I could do that. But each one did get a little easier. And then with the last one, I think that because it was now going to be an empty nest, there were more pluses to balance out the negative. And so it actually was – probably his was probably the easiest leaving. Plus he was going they all four went to school in Minneapolis, went to college in Minneapolis. So, so he was going to join his brothers. So for him, it was a piece of cake to leave.
Oh.
And and even for us, at least then when we went to visit, we saw them all at one time. So it was definitely an easier, it was almost like they were being reunited, even though, they were separating from us. They were all going to be together. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's very enlightening. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. For you, Sue, do you find the same thing? Like there was maybe more pressure when your kids were at home to get more scrapbooking done because there's so much more going on and now it feels more relaxing? How different similar is that for you?
No, I find that very similar. I feel like I was more documenting before when he was at home, the milestones, this year of school, this birthday, this new skill that you have, and maybe doing less personality, just getting the basics down. And now I feel like I have more time to reflect and maybe dig a little deeper, go beyond what's in the photos.
So when you say less personality before, do you mean you were sharing less about everybody's personality? Or is that what you mean? Or less personality in your styling?
No, I mean, I mean, my journaling was basically who, what, when, where, and just getting that down. I mean, I think personality came through in what I was scrapping and things, but it wasn't, this shows me that this is his sense of humor or things like that. It was just pretty surface, what's on the surface. This is rather than now where it's more like what's behind these photos. What do I see in these photos that may not be readily apparent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kelly.
I think the same thing. When the kids were younger, I found myself mainly scrapbooking events,
Yes.
birthdays and holidays and sporting events and that sort of thing. And yeah, you were just doing it, to get it done. And now I am finding I am journaling a lot more, being a little more thoughtful. And, and even though, there's a block of time that I really didn't scrapbook because, we were in transition. I was going to school. And so I just did not have the time to do it. And now I'm kind of glad I don't have those. I don't have their high school stuff done. And I'm kind of glad I don't have that done because my style has changed. And now I know what I want to do. And I'll be able to reflect on that a little bit more.
I think some of those things too, you don't see when you're going through it.
Right.
And it's only looking back and looking at, seeing them do something in a picture when they were 3 years old, and then they're doing it again when they're 15 years old. And you don't necessarily see some of those trends until you can look back and see them. And I think you scrapbook those very differently than you would have done it at, in real time.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
So it's a very,
And it's also kind of fun to look at, things that your adult children are doing now that are very similar to maybe you or your husband, trying to pull out those different personality traits. It's very interesting.
Yes. I love observing now the relationship between our adult son and my husband. And just the closeness they have and the similarities. And I do a lot of pages about what I see in that relationship between father and son these days.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you who was that, Sue? Was
Yes.
that you that was saying that? Do you how much of your scrapbooking tends to be about your kids and your family? I mean, your boys. Wait, do you have a girl too?
We have an only child. We raised a son.
Okay.
And we homeschooled from about 5th grade on. So when he went off to college, and I will say, he went off to college, so he had an instant empty nest and not being around for the homeschooling. It was I was a little high maintenance the first semester he was in college. But I have got to say,
really?
him going off to college, it wasn't nearly as bad as when he graduated from college. When he went off to college, there was still a room. You know, he was going to be back home for Thanksgiving. He was going to be back over the summer break, at Christmas for weekends. When he graduated from college and got that first job, and we moved him to his first apartment, and I came back to the totally empty room, that was harder for me. That's when I really went, he's gone, and he's not coming back. And that to me was when we truly had our empty nest.
Be honest, is that room now a scrap room?
Well, we've moved,
kidding.
but we turned it into a guest room pretty quickly, quite honestly. So,
well, and that's different with me, because mine, mine went out every 2 years, but now the third one just graduated from college, and he just came back. And is working in the area, but he's living at home. So that I actually haven't been home with him where it's just been him, because the youngest one was home for the summer. So it'll be interesting when I go back to Ohio next week, and it's my husband and I and him, and he'll be working quite a bit, so he'll be gone a lot, but it'll be, a new adjustment. The only thing that's constant is change.
Yeah.
And that's so we're back to not quite having an empty nest, but it's different.
Right. The dynamics of the relationships are different now, because it's not all the boys at home. He's not dependent on you, in a way that he was. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So what topics do you guys scrapbook that is not about your children now that it's you and your husband's? What kinds of things do you scrapbook about, Kelly? What do you find yourself most interested in?
I'm really scrapbooking just day-to-day things. I've taken pictures of of a new recipe that I made. We've got 2 dogs. I'm constantly photographing them. I'm just more of my surroundings. Whether it's furniture or a collection, nature, just really anything that grabs me.
Do you have to what? Because this is a question that I feel like we've talked about this a lot throughout the, life of the roundtable, but it still keeps coming up. Like, what do I scrapbook about now? Do you find yourself having to look for subjects, or do they pretty much just come to you?
They kind of come to me, but if I am having a problem, I usually turn to the photo a day, the Fat Mom Slim photo a day challenge and stuff, and I'll go, go to that, or current events. It's just all of that stuff is good to have, good to have in your scrapbooks. So there's ways to fill it.
When you say
go
ahead. Well, let me ask real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
When you say current events, you mean like things that are happening in the news and your reaction to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
interesting. Go ahead, Marcia.
One of the things that just kind of triggered in my mind, one of the things that I noticed is my oldest son in particular, when I show, every time I see them, I'll bring my scrapbook, and show them the recent stuff I've done. And the first few times that I did that, when I really started scrapbooking a lot, I realized that he was learning about my life without him through my scrapbooks, because he would read. I do quite a bit of journaling, and he would read everything, much more, and look more closely at things than the other boys did. And I realized he had already been away from me for like 6 years at that point. And so he didn't know what my day-to-day life was like. And he was learning what my life is like now through the scrapbooks.
Oh,
that's
and so that was really, that was really neat to see.
No kidding.
And it kind of connected in a different way.
Yeah. That is really neat. So what kind of things was he saying? What do you like Kelly just shared what she finds interesting in documents.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, when I first noticed it, I think it was when I was doing some of the reminiscing, and he was starting to see, kind of how I was feeling about them leaving. And because when you leave as a child or as a teenager, 18-year-old or whatever, you only look at things from your point of view. And you don't think about necessarily how your parents are feeling and how your family is. And he did a little bit, but still, I look back and I think I had no the thought never crossed my mind how my parents felt about me leaving home. I just was leaving because that was what I wanted to do. And so it kind of gave him a glimpse into what I was thinking, and feeling as they were all going off to school. But since then, I think, now I'll do kind of the same things as Kelly, where it'll be, I might scrapbook the flowers in the yard, or we just moved into this house and we have these beautiful gardens here that we had no idea were here because it was all under 3 feet of snow when we looked at the house. And so I've been kind of discovering this house, and, and they see it, but to see it from, my discovery kind of point of view. And then just little things that happen here. We had some neighbor kids that came by selling lemonade, and it's a really funny story that I won't go into, but, just things that happen to me in my day-to-day life. That's kind of more what I scrapbook now. And
Marcia, you can share that lemonade story. I want to hear the story.
Yeah, we usually take time to hear funny stories.
We like stories.
I thought it was very funny. And my family just laughed hysterically when I told them. Okay, so there are little kids next door. There's a lot of kids in this neighborhood. And one day I was here by myself, and a little girl and her older brother and another little boy from the neighborhood came by, and they said, "We're selling lemonade and massages." So I thought to myself, I tried not to laugh. I just, said, "Oh, okay." I said, well, and I look at their dirty hands, and I'm like, well, I'll take some lemonade. How much is it? And they said 50 cents. And they said, "But we actually don't have any cups." So I said, "Okay, that's fine. I'll get you a cup." And the one little boy pulls out 2 little medicine cups. He said, "But I can give you a sample." I said, "No, that's all right. I'll get my cup." So I went and got a cup and brought it back. And they've got this pull, like one of those pull coolers, which I assume has, the lemonade, in pitchers in it. And so I give them my 50 cents and I hand him my cup, and he opens the cooler and it's got lemonade. No pitcher, just the lemonade in the cooler. And so he takes my cup and he dips it into the lemonade and pulls it out and hands it to me. And I was flabbergasted, for one thing, but I also was just cracking up inside because it was so funny. And so they handed me the lemonade, and I said, "Thank you." And I took it and I put it on the counter, and I did not drink it.
No. You're like, thank goodness I didn't ask for a sample.
But it just was so sweet. It was so innocent and so sweet and so funny. It was just so funny. So so that was my lemonade and massage.
Funny. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe
did become a scrapbook page.
Next time, take the massage too. Come on. What would have happened then?
Maybe the massage wouldn't have been so bad.
So did you take a picture of the glass of lemonade, or what? Or did you just...
I did. It's a very poor picture, but still, in that case, the page is the story is the important part of the page. So I did take the picture. But it just, it was, I wish I had a picture of them. I didn't even think of it at the time, but
I know. How cute would that be with their cooler behind them?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know this, but early Americans actually drank mostly lemonade from a trough. Just like that.
Really?
Yeah. In the early days of America, we didn't have
we've come a long way.
Yeah, we have. Once lemonade moved into pitchers, it's all been different since then. Yeah. That's so awesome. You had a chance to work on your immunity system there, but
Yeah, but mostly I just set it on the counter. My one son said, "Mom, you didn't drink it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't drink it."
And someday you'll know not to drink it too.
I think it was an important detail that you.
He's 23. He kind of knows.
Yeah. It was an important detail that you mentioned earlier that you saw their dirty hands. So then fast forward to, and then I didn't drink it. Those are related details.
Also, if you've ever cleaned out a cooler for the next trip, like there's no way you're ever going to drink out of that thing.
People don't actually use soap in those coolers. They just hose it off.
Well, I'm thinking the parents probably weren't involved at all. Like that these guys just did it kind of on their own. I think there was a grandmother babysitting or something.
That is just the funniest. I love that story.
What would the massage been like? That's a great story. What would that massage have been like?
I don't know. Because they're small, so I don't know. It would be,
Yeah, the lemonade's 50 cents and the massage is $50. So
I didn't even ask how much the massage was. It probably came with the lemonade. I don't know. Didn't think to ask.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I love it. Okay, we've heard from Kelly and Marcia about the types, some of the types of stuff you scrapbook. I know there's probably more too. But Sue, like, what about you?
Yeah, a lot of the same things, our routines, our hobbies, personalities. I've also kind of become the self-appointed family historian. I find that I have a lot of more time now to scrap about our extended family. Siblings and parents and the cousins that our son grew up with. And I really enjoy making a big picture connection of who we are as a family, not just my husband, my son, myself. So I like doing extended family.
Is this
friends.
more for you guys, or does your extended family ever see this?
That's a great. I have some scrapbook albums that I know are more for my husband and I, and are going to have limited appeal to other people. But there are definitely scrapbooks I keep that I take to family gatherings, and people pour through them because they're in them.
Yeah.
They're in them. And there's some albums that I'm doing that I know I'm creating for a larger audience than just myself and my husband. And yes, I do share those on a regular basis, and really they're appreciated.
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea.
That is a great idea. I love that. Take them with you, or when they come over, have them out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is awesome. Especially as time goes on and they'll look back and see, you know how it is when you see a picture of yourself or your family that you've never seen before, and especially if it's older, you're like, oh my gosh,
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. So, so I know which ones to keep at home, which ones are going to be of interest to people. So I really enjoy doing that. I also really like scrapping. I think this was touched on, things that can be looked back at as a type of nostalgia, that things that mark an era or the passage of time, or things like, okay, these are the TV shows that we were watching, or this is the technology we're interacting with right now, and just things that you could look back on at a future time and go, oh, remember, this or something. I like to do those sorts of pages too.
Well, I do always wonder about, like Izzy had a grandmother who died in her 90s, and she was born early in the century, and early in the 20th century, and just the changes. I've always been curious from her perspective. Now she's gone now, so I can't ask, but from her perspective, what all these changes are. But I know, like, we just visited Izzy's other grandmother the other day, and we got a funny little lecture about Facebook and having our children on Facebook for all the world to see, and who might come searching for them.
It really has changed.
Yeah.
So, and and you think, oh well, this is the way it's always going to be, but you know better than that. I just can't imagine what it's going to be, but
she doesn't. You almost can't blame her, because she doesn't understand the value of how, opening yourself up to Facebook gives you a chance to change your beliefs about politics and religion and things like that. Like if she knew about
changing their minds.
Everybody
changes their minds when they see their opponent.
I'm
persuaded all day long by everybody else.
And you can also find out which Muppet you are too. So there's that.
That would be the thing that would clinch the deal for my grandma. Grandma, how could you live without Facebook? She doesn't even have internet. She doesn't have wireless, nothing.
My mom is on Facebook, and I was with them yesterday for Labor Day, and she was telling me all about the things that she found on Facebook. Like, she knew as much about my family as I do because it was on Facebook.
Yeah. Somebody else was about to say something too.
Well, we were just talking. We were with our son and his wife and our granddaughter, which that's a whole new phase of empty nesting. But we were with them this past weekend and said, this is amazing, because basically we raised you without Facebook. Facebook was still, like when he was in college, there was Facebook, and it was still only for college kids, that sort of thing. So we raised our son without Facebook, and now they've got a daughter who's not going to know what life is like without Facebook unless it goes away or something. And we were just talking about what a different world that is already.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, Sue, you were starting to say something about scrapbooking about friends, and I'm curious from all three of you. So maybe, Sue, you can start because you didn't really get a chance to go into it. How much scrapbooking do you do about friends, and is it different now?
Yeah, I don't think I did, much when I was focused more on our nuclear family. And now I realize that, yeah, the friendship, especially now because we have friends and we've had these friends for, years and years that have come alongside us as we've raised our son. And you realize how special those kinds of friendships are. And that's an important part of our story and who we are. So I don't do a lot of pages, but I'll make sure that I do some pages about people outside of our family, friendships in our lives that are important and why they're important to us. So I make sure I include that now, and I probably didn't before.
Yeah, I know. For me, the older I get, the more I've like actively valuing those friendships and those long-term ones.
Yes.
I mean, I'm consciously, when I say actively, I mean consciously, like really thinking. I think about it so much more now, and I feel it more deeply now.
Right.
Right.
So, Kelly, do you scrapbook a lot about friends?
I do, especially when we were overseas those past 2 years. Because we didn't have our kids with us, our being in the military, anybody that you meet along, whether what base or post that you're at, those people become your family, and so. While we were overseas, those 2 years of scrapbooking, and that's all that's in the book or in these books are those, the friends that we made and the relationships that we have built. They're extremely important, very, very important. And, we still keep in touch with everybody through Facebook and Instagram. And, once in a while I'll download a picture from, one of those and, just reminisce a little bit, and so they're extremely important.
So Kelly, what for that period, would you say those layouts are more like introducing who your friends are on different pages, or was it more like really scrapbooking about the things you were doing together and the moments you enjoyed and the nature of the relationship?
It was more the things that we were doing together, more in the moment type things, because I've totally switched over to pocket style scrapbooking. I'm not doing like the traditional 12 by 12 layouts anymore. So I'm finding doing that, I'm able to incorporate a lot more, I think, by using the pockets. So it's not necessarily one specific, like one page isn't necessarily about one specific thing. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you were doing back when you were in Europe too? Or was that more pages?
No,
12 by 12?
No, I was doing pocket. I was doing pocket scrapbooking back, because that's when it really first started to come around. I think it was 2010, 2011 is when it started to become popular. And I just fell in love with it, and it's just more, to me, it's a little easier, it's quicker, and I like documenting things that way.
Do you try to do a weekly spread, or do you just kind of go do it as it comes?
For 2 years, I was trying to do weekly, and 2014, I'm switching over to monthly spreads.
Okay. That's what I do.
Not necessarily spreads either. I'm not going to take 1 month and condense it down into 2 pages. I'll use as many pages as necessary to tell the story. But I'm not going to be
separating
crazy.
This is week and one.
That's just too much for me.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do it. I tried the weekly thing for a while, and I switched to monthly. And like you said, it's not a monthly spread. It's as many pages as it takes, and sometimes it might be 3 different pages or
right.
Yeah, I love it that way. So so that's how you were scrapping with all your friendships, and so you're saying your pocket page scrapbooking in Europe was a lot of with friends, but it would be like different occasions or different things going on.
I mean, because of because of our lifestyle there, we had a lot of social things that were going on. So I had a lot to scrapbook. I mean, we were constantly busy. We were diplomats, so we had a lot of stuff to do.
Awesome.
So I had a lot to say and a lot to. I had a lot of scrapbook fodder.
That is awesome. That sounds really neat. I would love to see that album.
Yeah, I've got several of them. So,
Noelle.
Yeah.
You want to hear what the next trend in pocket scrapbooking is?
What?
Okay, yeah. I just thought of this when you were talking. What's that?
Okay, you're always on top of stuff.
Okay, so the next trend in pocket scrapbooking is 1 pocket per month. You watch, because everything in technology is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You're going to be able to remember microfiche at the library.
oh my goodness.
I'm sure there are ways you could, like, there'll be like accordion pockets that you can pull out.
Yeah,
right.
It'll have 30 flaps on it, 31 flaps. For the
31 flaps for in
yeah.
a pocket.
So it'll be an accordion that's 31 segments long. So you have one per day. How would you keep track of all the, what is this stuff called? The ephemera?
Yeah.
How would you keep track of all that in one pocket for a whole month? Thick pockets. Thick pockets.
So they would still be heavy, big, heavy scrapbooks.
Right.
Even though you're fitting an entire month into one pocket. Okay.
This is great.
Nice, Izzy.
You heard it here first, peeps. Sorry. Boy, did I derail this conversation. Back to what were you saying, Noelle? I'm sorry.
I'm curious. I would love to hear more about people's social lives in their scrapbooking.
Well, Chris, in the community that we're here, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Right, okay. In the community that we live here in Florida, it is a waterfront community, and there are tons of activities to become involved in. It's not a retirement community. We're not there yet. So my husband has taken up dragon boat racing, and so we've met a lot of people through there, and so I've been dubbed the official team photographer. So I'm, going to dragon boat races and taking lots of photos and just whatever, our in-laws are nearby. So, we do things socially once in a while with them or meet friends, in Ybor City. So, it's just little social things like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What is a dragon boat?
Dragon boat, started in China, and it's a boat of a 20-man team. So there's 10 rowers on each side, and you're either paddling on the right side or the left side, and it's a little niche cult-like water activity. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and they do races all over the country, and there's like 2,000 meter races. There's it would be like a whole day of different races. There's different heats, and they race for medals and stuff. It's fun. It's cool. Fun. Yeah.
Marcia, do you do much like social scrapbooking of your friends?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, not a whole lot. I was just thinking as they were talking, I need to do more of that, but I haven't really a lot. It still is pretty family centric.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
yeah, well, I know, my grandmother, I did not grow up living near her, but she was very close with us. We saw them a lot. My grandparents, my dad's parents, and they have passed away now, but they had a group of friends. I want to say maybe 3 other couples or something like that. And they would get together regularly and play cards and do other things too. But I don't know them. If I met them, I don't remember. At some point I knew their names, and I may have met them here and there, but I don't remember. And I don't remember pictures of them, although I'm sure I've seen them. But but I definitely have, I always heard about them, and I always knew funny things, and they were such a part of my grandparents' lives that I really associate retirement with having a group of friends that you play cards with. Like that's
I wouldn't say.
I know everybody's different, but that's how much they were, a part of their lives that I have this deep rooted association that I know is not really universal. But but my grandmother didn't scrapbook, and they didn't take a lot of pictures. But I think it would be neat for to see if I had some of those stories. I mean, they had funny stories they shared, but I don't remember them. And I think it would be great to have a scrapbook of that friendship. I think it's because it's taught me something. Not okay on the outward. It sounds like it taught them that when you retire, you get a group of friends and you play cards. But it taught me really about the friendships and the need, the human need that we have to have people we can trust and rely on and enjoy too.
Yeah, I have.
Yes.
I was back up in Virginia 2 weeks ago, and I met up with a group of friends that I hung out with in our old neighborhood, and our kids, kind of grew up together for the 8 or 9 years that we lived there, and they're very solid friendships. We played, we had a cocktail club together, where we all traded houses once a month and, made different cocktails. We have a LCR group that we played left, center, right with. And I think you have to have those friendships, even when you're focused on raising your family, you still need those friendships. You still need those outside relationships. Outside of the family. They're important because your kids aren't going to be around your house house forever. So you need those other relationships.
Yeah,
I think they're very important.
Izzy and I have a couple that are best friends that have been our best friends for many years now, many years. And I do quite a bit, not tons, but I've done over time a lot of scrapbooking about them. And I do look forward to that time when their kids are grown up and gone because they're 10 years older than us, but we still have a ways to go. And I do look forward to the time when we can travel more. We used to do some traveling together, but it'll be fun to be able to go do that again or more with them and spend more time with them. And at some point, like I said, a decent number of layouts about them. At some point, I'll have a whole scrapbook, and it'll be really cool. About the four of us. Okay, so my last question then is: do you scrapbook more or less, or did you more or less since your children moved on and out of the house? And maybe Sue, you can start. More or less for you?
Sure, more. I have, and part of it is just the space of I have more time. I have more space. When our son was home, my scrapbook stuff was all in a closet. So it was, get it out and scrap through the weekend and put it back away and wait till you have another free weekend to scrap. And it's not like that anymore. I have a dedicated scrap room, which was not his bedroom. And and I have a dedicated space, and that really makes it a lot easier to scrap more. And I have time available to scrap more.
Okay.
So.
Nice. What about for you, Marcia? More or less?
I definitely scrapbook more. I think it started as my kids got older because they would ask me if I was going to go scrapbooking I would go to Archivers a lot, which of course I can't do anymore. But and so Friday or Saturday nights, they would say, "Mom, aren't you going to go scrapbooking?" Because they liked having guy nights. So they would kind of kick me out of the house. But so it started then. But I definitely, since they're gone, I definitely have more time and spend a lot of it on scrapbooking.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then for you, Kelly?
It's been a mix. I think when the kids were in high school or in college, I wasn't doing it as much just because we had so much other things going on. But right now it's starting to pick up more. So where I'm definitely carving out more time during my week or my days and starting to get things done.
Yeah.
Kelly, how long ago did your youngest son graduate?
From high school? From high school, he graduated in 2011.
Okay. Just
So it's been
curious.
a few years.
Yeah, and right now he's nearby. I mean, he graduated when we were living in Virginia, and he is now entering his senior year at the University of South Florida here in Tampa. So he's about 45 minutes away from
Oh,
us.
so he's close, yeah.
Yeah, he's close.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any last final thoughts, things that you'd wanted to say about scrapbooking as an empty nester that didn't come up yet before we move on to the next part of our show?
I'm looking at my notes.
You know, if I could, I have a short little story that I'd like to share just as an encouragement to if you're going to be an empty nester scrapbooker or whatever. When our son was in college, one weekend he came home with a young lady who eventually ended up being his wife. And he was bringing her home to, introduce her to the rest of his life, up until that time he had met her in college. And I know they drove around town and did things. And one thing it was not my suggestion or anything, they sat down and he got out the scrapbooks. And they sat down together and went through probably half a dozen scrapbooks up to that point. And it was his way of showing her who he was before they had met. Oh. And I just remember sitting, there in the living room doing that. I'm out in the kitchen going, oh my gosh, they're really enjoying this. And this is his way of saying, this is who I am. This is part of who I am. And I want you to know this about me because you're very special in my life. And it was pretty amazing.
Oh,
my son did the exact same thing. Who with the girl that he brought home from college, who he is going to be getting married in 18 days.
Wow.
So yeah, he did the exact same thing. He pulled out his scrapbooks, and they were looking at him, and it was a really good feeling. It was a really, really good feeling that I've done something for the past 20 years that that they appreciate, and they validate, and they understand why we're doing it. And to this day, they still give me things. Here, Mom, put this in the scrapbook. You're going to do, I trained them well.
The only downside to this is now women are going to have the expectation that there's a scrapbook to go through to learn the history. That'll give one guy an advantage over other guys, frankly.
Exactly.
You don't have a scrapbook from your childhood?
Wait, you don't have a scrapbook that demonstrates? Yeah.
What does this tell me about your family?
Engagement's off.
Where's the documentation?
Exactly.
How do I know your history without the documentation?
Go ahead.
One other thing that I was going to say is one of the things that I started this year with my family, because we're all spread out, and even though my boys, 3 of them live fairly close together, they don't see each other all the time because they all have their lives. And so one of the things that I started this year is each month on a random day, I send them all a text and say, take a picture today. And then they text it back to me. And so for one day each month, I have a picture of a little snippet of their life.
Oh, and
so then I've put together a scrapbook page I'm not all caught up, but each month there will be a page with the pictures of what they're doing that day.
Do you have a specific album for that, or do you mix that into whatever your one album with everything?
I tend to just put my layouts in albums as I scrapbook them. Yeah. But I do actually have those separated out. So they probably will go in an album by themselves.
Yeah, I think that would be nice because that tells its own story.
Right. Yeah. It's very, it's one day they're at work, one day they're, traveling, one day, this and that. So yeah, it's been really nice.
How awesome that they'll do that for you. I love it.
Yeah, they're really good about that.
Do they ever need to tell you a little bit about the photo, or do they just send it over and you deal with it?
Mostly they'll send, a short little message with it. Like my one daughter-in-law, who was actually my son's fiance at the time, we included her in there because they were getting married. And she sent a picture and she said, it's a glasses kind of day because she normally wears contacts. So that kind of gives you a sense of what her day was like. One of them, my son and daughter-in-law and their baby were on a road trip to Chicago. And so it just said, on the road to Chicago. So obviously they stopped first. But yeah, so usually there will be like one line of explanation. And that kind of takes care of my journaling for it too.
Yeah.
I just will kind of put, whatever they had put as the little journaling for it. So
I like that idea.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate you ladies coming on and sharing your perspective. This is not a perspective I have heard a whole lot on scrapbooking, and all this time I've been talking to people on the show, and but it's been enlightening to me. I mean, it's a perspective. Many of the things you have said is kind of, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of it that way, or wow, it's great to hear about your sons bringing their future wives home. And by the way, good luck with the wedding in 18 days, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks.
That's really, really neat. And I know a lot of us are getting closer and closer to, not everybody, but a lot of us are getting closer to this time of life that you're in. And I love hearing these positive stories. So thank you.
It was an emotional roller coaster for me, I have to say. At the beginning of the discussion, I was like, this is making me so sad. I'm going to miss my kids. It's like, okay, let's take a break and go hug our children, everybody now. And then by the end of the discussion, I'm like, party once they're gone.
Well, and that's kind of how the experience is too.
Yeah.
At least I found it that way. It was very much, emotional roller coaster. And yeah, you realize that even though they leave, it's not like they're out of your life completely. And I think when you come to that realization, then you go, okay, I can handle this. And, life goes on, and it just is different. It's just not better or worse, just different.
Right.
Well, a lot of times when we start pouring our glass of wine after dinner or during dinner, Izzy or I will say, it'll be nice to have a glass of wine with you, Blake, someday in a few years.
Yeah.
But he's 11, so we're waiting till he's 13.
Wrong son, Izzy.
Just kidding.
Wait till he's 13 at least. Right?
16.
Oh my goodness.
All right. What was that?
It's fun to launch them into a new phase of life, and it's fun to have and to think that means it's a new phase of life for me too, and just to embrace that.
Claim more of your own self back. Yeah.
You can't change it, so you might as well accept
exactly.
it. Look for the good in it.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
All right, Izzy, before we jump into picks of the week, I know that this is your special moment.
I feel like I've had a few special moments in this recording today. So thank you, Noelle. This is the part where we promote paper clipping, and I'm going to mix it up, and we're going to talk about paper clipping, the romantic scrapbooking course today. So if you haven't seen this, if you haven't checked it out, maybe you're a new listener, or maybe you're somebody who's heard about it before, but you haven't checked it out yet. Now's a good time to do it. Go to check it out at paperclipping.com/romantic. Just like it sounds, /romantic. We'll have a link in the show notes too. So it's a course that Noelle made. It's a full video series that goes through step-by-step different ideas for creating a romantic scrapbook and doing some scrapbooking about your significant other and or spouse. Lots of ideas, inspiration, techniques, tools that you can use. And just the reviews on this thing have been phenomenal. People love it, which is great. We always love it when we create something that turns out to be a hit. That's a breath of fresh air, not breath of fresh air. I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing to say. But I mean, it's a sigh of relief, You get it out there. Well, this will be a memorable, special moment for people. So anyway, if you haven't checked it out yet, go do it. Paperclipping.com/romantic. And I love it. I mean, personally, I love it. I love the fact that Noelle has all these scrapbooking pages that are just about our time together and our relationship and all that. I love that. And of course, I had a special perspective because I was the cameraman looking over her shoulder as we're shooting all these, zillions of hours of
layouts
videos.
Of you and us.
Layouts of us. Yeah. And it was it's a trip through time and be able to kind of see the way that our relationship has grown together. And I'm positive, if you have a significant other, whether they're newish to you or they're, you've been married for 50 years, I think that you would get some value out of this because of all the inspiration. I'm getting choked up just talking about this. The inspiration that you'll get from this. There's so many ideas.
Thanks, Izzy. Those are some of my very favorite pages, and I'm really proud of that course. Like I think I'm very happy with it.
Yes. So paperclipping.com/romantic.
Okay, let's do our picks of the week. We'll go around the table, and each of you will share something you've picked that is scrapbooking related, and we will start with Sue. What is your pick this week, Sue?
Okay, my pick with this has been quite a traumatic year if you're a scrapbooker, with the closing of Archivers and the closing of 2Ps and everything. So my pick is a new favorite online scrapbooking store. It is called A Cherry on Top, and you may or may not be familiar, but it ships. It's especially wonderful if you live like in the Midwest or towards the eastern side of the United States, because they ship out of Michigan. And I've ordered from them several times, and it's been a wonderful experience. I get things quickly. They have a lot of new stuff. They're staying right on top of things, and I'm very glad to have found them.
And they're not actually a new store. They're new to you, but they've been around a long time.
Me.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe. I just, they're new to me. They're new to me, but it's called A Cherry on Top.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because they've been around a long time, which means they must be reliable. I haven't used them yet, but I've been looking at their store. This weekend I was looking at their store.
Yeah. I've been very, very pleased with all the interactions I've had with them, and product and shipping times, and and I think they have a September coupon code, and so if you're still feeling a little lost about 2Ps closing, maybe you want to check it out.
All right, very good. That's a good pick. Thank you. Okay, how about Marcia? What's your pick?
Mine is a Heidi Swap interchangeable stamp. It's like a round stamp, and then you just put these little round stamps in it. But there are 8 of them that come with it, and so you have one handle and then interchangeable stamps, and they're just little circle stamps. They're with little sayings, or there's a star in one, and one says happy, 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 happy. And they're just really cute to add just a little bit to a layout. They'd be good for project life type, or pocket scrapbooking, or layouts, 12 by 12 layouts also, which is mostly what I do. So yeah,
I've never seen these. It's kind of like, it reminds me of what is that company? There was an old vintage company that did, and you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Seven Gypsies, yes. I think had something like it. Yeah.
So it's similar to that. You just take off the little rubber stamp piece and change it to a different one.
Right, but they're smaller. It's about I would say they're probably 5/8 of an inch diameter.
Okay.
So they're just little circles, little small circles.
Cute.
And it's real cute. So it's really small, so it's easy to. I do a lot of scrapbooking on the go in addition to at home, and so this is easy to carry, and you've got 8 stamps without having the bulk of lots of stamps. So it's cute.
I didn't know she had that out. I'd never seen that before.
It's pretty new, I think.
Okay.
I got it at Michael's.
Okay, cool.
So,
all right, and how about Kelly?
Well, I found a website last night, actually. I was putting together invitations for our son's rehearsal dinner, and I was doing this through email invitations, and I didn't want the same old, kind of dull, flat invite, and I found a site called Greenvelope, GREENVELOPE.com, and they had more like animated invitations, and I thought it was a lot of fun to work with because I could play around with fonts and font sizes and spacing and stuff. So it's not really scrapbook related, but it's kind of card making related.
That's all right. That's okay.
But it was a really fun site to be on. I really, really liked it, and I'm really happy with the invitation I created. And it's all animated, like the envelope flips around and it opens up, and it's just it's really nice. Yeah, it was really, really nice.
So did you also help with? Did you do something with the actual wedding invitations?
Yeah, I created them. I made their invitations. There's a link up on my blog. I've got photos of them up there of what I did. So people loved them. Yeah, nice. It was.
Wow, you're busy.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show with us while you're doing this.
Thanks
This
for
is where everybody else goes, I'm busy too.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here, even though you're so busy.
That's awesome. Okay, so my pick is, well, I am working on, doing the preparations to put together a bonus video tutorial for those who jump on my promotion, which I'll be doing soon for True Scrap, because True Scrap 6 with Lane Amen is coming up in October. We pretty soon will launch it to open it up for people to sign up for, and I always send out a promotion. If they use my link that I send out an email, then I'll give away a bonus something. And this year I'm going to do a bonus video tutorial, and I've gotten a lot of feedback that people loved my episodes that I did recently, a couple episodes on making new kits with some of your old stuff and mixing it in with some of the new and making brand new kits. And if you want, you can assign a kit to a specific album or just have the kit ready to go. Well, I've been kitting for pocket pages, Project Life, and just regular pocket page scrapbooking, without it being chronological or whatever. Either way, so I've been kind of taking those same concepts and putting together a sort of a kit thing, which I will explain more and show more in this bonus video. And so if you've been following me, you might know that I really like using washi tape on making Project Life cards using some washi tape. They end up being my favorite cards, and I haven't had any to use for a while, so I've just been working on that, and that's going to be a small part of this video. And so I know a lot of you have a ton of washi tape, and you're not sure you'll ever get through it. And to me, this is my very favorite way to use up my washi tape. And I love the look, and I love that I can get, as many coordinated cards as I want using my washi tape and some either grid cards or just if I die cut my own Project Life cards or whatever. So I'm going to share probably my favorite washi tape, which is a package of coordinated washi tape from My Mind's Eye. And it's the beautiful mint green color that we're all in love with right now, and gray. And it comes in this great little plastic tube, and there's a whole bunch of them. Let me see if I have it in front of me. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different rolls of washi tape, and they're coordinated, but they have different patterns, and they also have different widths. So you get a bunch that are that standard width, but you get a couple that are a little wider and a couple that are a little thinner. And I find that really valuable, specifically in doing what I'm talking about with the Project Life cards, because it looks great to have 2 different widths on the card. And if you get that bonus video, or if you've been following me for a while, you know what I'm talking about. On the one hand, my pick is to make Project Life cards with your washi tape. And then on the other hand, it is that specific tape or some of the variations. They've got other colors too. All right, let's go around the table and let people know where they can find you. We'll start with Sue. Where can people find you, Sue?
Probably my blog is the best place. It's SueAlthouse.com, and it'll show my design team work and YouTube channel and online class teaching.
Awesome.
Right there.
Okay. And how about Megan? That's weird. Marcia, where can people find you?
I'm most often on the Get It Scrapped forums, and also my blog is mfortunato.blogspot.com. That's mfortunato.blogspot.com. And then I'm also on Instagram as Marcia M. Fortunato. I'm not very creative with any of my usernames. So
I like names. I think it's easy to find somebody.
Easy to find. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm on there pretty often.
Okay, cool. Kelly, where can people find you?
You can find me in a couple different places. SeptemberBlue.net is my blog. I've got tons of things up there with Project Life and, just scrapping in the empty nest. And September Blue Designs is my Facebook page. And you could also find me teaching classes at scrapineers.com. I have several classes going on over there.
What do you have going on right now that's open for people?
Right. Most of my I believe all my classes are self-paced. So I've got empty nest scrapbooking, which is awesome. Lots of ideas of what to do scrapping in the empty nest. There's the poster project where I teach people how to create a larger than life poster of their kids who are involved in sports and take them through the process on how to create something like that. And then my My latest classes, they're a series of organization classes called Keep It Together, or KIT for short, and they're geared toward the pocket style scrapper, where the first one that was released just about a month ago is for recipes, getting your recipes in order using Pocket Pages. And then the next one that's coming up, it's open for registration now, is creating a 6x8 holiday binder or with pockets.
You have a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of busy.
Yeah. Sue, how many do you have over at Creative Passions?
I've got 2 right now.
And what are those ones called?
And the first one is called Perfect Your Scrapbook Process. And then a class that I ran this summer was called Master Your Pattern Paper.
Okay. Okay. And then you've got the new one coming up at some point in the future.
Yes, to be determined.
Izzy, where can people find you?
People can find me at izzyvideo.com, and that's it.
And that's it. You can find me at paperclipping.com. Currently getting ready for True Scrap and putting that together, but also I am part of Debbie Hodges' Masterful Scrapbook Design. I don't know what you call it, course thing. It's her thing for her membership for September and October. It's called Story Play. I'll be putting something up about that on my blog, probably tonight or tomorrow, I think, too. And that's it. So thank you, ladies, for being on the show and sharing with us all your experience with being empty nesters. I appreciate it. We will see you all next time at the table.